let's do propaganda. The most bet on props for the NLCS, according to BetMGM, Shohei Ohtani to hit a home run at plus 250. Blake Snell over 6.5 Ks, which is minus 150. Freddie Freeman to not hit a home run at minus 750. Andrew Vaughn is the public play. He's been hot. Over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI at plus 120. And Mookie Betts under 1.5 hits at minus 250. Okay, so let's talk about the NLCS and why those propaganda plays are bad and we should be fading the public. So some of the players that we just addressed. Let's start with Mookie Betts. So ever since Mookie Betts went on that 0-20 slump and then broke it in the NLDS last year, Mookie Betts has hit safely in 5 of 6 postseason games this year. He's hitting .385 with 3 doubles, a triple, and 4 ribbies. Since that slump, he's hitting .341 with 13 extra base hits and 20 ribbies in his last 20 postseason games. So Mookie Betts, although the rhetoric has been that he has been bad in the postseason, he really has been much better. So I wouldn't fade Mookie Betts. As much as Shohei Ohtani hit a home run is the most bet on prop at BetMGM, you know I hate home run props, but he is the only Dodger player that's actually been good against Milwaukee this year. So all hitters outside of Ohtani against Milwaukee this season combined to hit 167 with 3 home runs and 7 ribbies. Against Milwaukee, Ohtani hit 273 with 3 home runs and 7 ribbies in those 6 games, which is why I like Ohtani either over half a run or over a half an RBI. He should be able to make contact tonight in Milwaukee against this bullpen game. And you could get good value at over, well, it's not good value, I'd say. It's like plus 140 for over half an RBI, but at least it's plus money if you want that. Over half a run was already pretty juiced around minus 140. So you kind of missed the boat on the over half a run since this morning. And then when it comes to Blake Snell, the over 6.5 Ks was one of the most bet on props at BetMGM. And I just don't see Snell having as good of a game against this Brewers team. The Brewers have been incredible against lefties this year. So Milwaukee this season, they're hitting .268, which is an MLB high against southpaws. They're 3-1 when facing a lefty in the postseason. In fact, no team has more wins than the Brewers against lefty starters this year. 32 wins for Milwaukee against lefties this season. You could get them on the money line at plus 130 if you want. It is a bullpen game, so it's rough, but I do think they hit Snell. So you could either take over the runs, you could take over 1.5 earned runs for Snell. Snell also didn't pitch well the last time he pitched in Milwaukee. He did pitch well against Milwaukee last year, but that was a different team. This team is hitting better. And I just was a little scared about the team total at 3.5 because it was plus money. Maybe that time off, you see a little bit of like rusty bats to start, but overall, I do think they'll get to Snell. At least hit a homer or something, like a 2-run home run. I don't think Snell's going to get blown up. I just do think they get to him at some point. And he gives up over 1.5 earned runs. And here's the thing, too. It's game 1 of a best of 7. The Dodgers bullpen has been atrocious. In fact, the Dodgers have allowed 16 runs in the 7th inning or later this postseason. The other 3 remaining teams have allowed 18 combined runs in the 7th or later. So the Dodgers have allowed 16. Everyone else combined has just gotten over that number in the 7th inning or later. So you know that Dave Roberts, the manager of the Dodgers, is going to want to save Blake Snell for as long as possible in that game, which means he might get a little tired and give up a home run. That's my hope. Some other stats to know about the NLCS in case you're just tuning in. Andrew Vaughn's hitting .395 with 14 walks and 8 strikeouts against lefties. He's hitting .357 with 10 extra base hits, 10 RBI, and 8 runs scored in his last 23 games. Jackson Chourio hitting .340 with 7 homers against lefties. This postseason, Churrio's hitting 7 of 18 with 3 extra base hits and 1 home run, 6 RBI. And then some live bet info, just in case he likes a live bet. The Brewers relievers on a ERA just above a 1 so far in the playoffs, with opponents hitting 176 against them. So if the Dodgers seem to be getting, I don't know, like the Brewers are throwing a bullpen game. So as much as it's a little alarming because it's game 1 of an NLCS and you're throwing a bullpen game, the Brewers bullpen's been pitching really well. So just something to keep in mind. That's it for the NLCS. So let's talk some NFL Monday Night Football, starting with the first-ish game, I guess, because I think they're both at the same time. Bills-Falcons. So I say under on the Penix props, under his completions, under his passing yards. Penix has faced 2 top 10 pass defenses, and both were in prime time. This season, Penix faced Minnesota, 13 completions, 135 yards. Last season, Penix went up against Washington in prime time, 19 completions, 223 yards. Both games went under the completions. Both games went under the passing yards. Buffalo has allowed the second least completions and passing yards per game to quarterbacks. 4 of the 5 QBs to face Buffalo have gone under their completions and their passing yards props. As for Atlanta's running back Bijan Robinson, under 32.5 receiving yards. Robinson's had a great season in the passing game. 2 of 4 have gone 100-plus receiving yards. Robinson just hasn't faced a team this good against pass-catching backs. Last year, when Robinson faced a team good against pass-catching backs, top 10 against them, he had 3 catches for 8 yards against Washington, 2 catches for 9 yards against Minnesota, 4 catches for 25 against Philly, and 1 catch for 10 yards against Vegas. Robinson should not go over this number of 32.5. He's actually gone under 32.5 receiving yards in all 6 primetime games that he's played in. The Bills, third best defense in the league against pass-catching backs. They limit these running backs to just about 16 receiving yards a game. Out of the 8 running backs to face the Bills this year, only one went over their receiving yard prop, and that was Derrick Henry, who went over 5.5 with 13 receiving yards. So, going with the under Bijan Robinson. When you guys are writing in the chat, I keep thinking I accidentally, you don't understand how many times on the newsletter and in this graphic I've made sure I spelled Penix wrong. Right. Not wrong. I was very nervous. I was like, that was like the one name I had to spell check. Kyle Pitts, he scares me, but I've been looking at his under 44.5 receiving yards. Pitts hasn't done well in prime time. He's gone under this prop in 6 of 8 career primetime games. He's coming off a 70-yard performance last week, and I think this number is an overreaction to it. Pitts hasn't seen a defense this good against tight ends in 2025. Last year, when Pitts faced a top 10 defense against tight ends, he had 27, 44, and 11 receiving yards. Buffalo's allowed the second least receiving yards per game to tight ends this year at just about 22.5. It's why 6 of the 8 tight ends to face Buffalo went under their receiving yards props. So the number just too high for as inconsistent of a player as Kyle Pitts is. So under 44.5 receiving yards. I'm also looking at all of the Josh Allen unders, the completions, the pass attempts, the passing yards. You guys could choose based on what you hear, but I just think that because it's Josh Allen, these numbers are a little inflated, but don't sleep on Atlanta's defense. All 4 quarterbacks that Atlanta has faced have gone under in all 3 of these markets every game. They've limited their opposing quarterbacks to the least completions, the least pass attempts, and the least passing yards per game this year. When looking at Josh Allen against top 10 pass defenses dating back to the start of last season, he averages 16 completions, 27 pass attempts, and 186 passing yards. In the 3 primetime games where Allen faced a top 10 pass D last year, he went under in all 3 of those games. That was primetime games against the Niners, the Jets, and the Dolphins. Josh Allen went under in all 3 of those games for his completions, pass attempts, and passing yards. So with Jared Block liking the over on rushing yards for Josh Allen, kind of makes sense that the passing game might take a hit if Josh Allen has to scramble. So I'm looking at the unders for Josh Allen there. Bears Commanders tonight. Jaden Daniels over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I gave this out Friday when I was talking about some props. You're getting it at a plus money price because of all the injuries to his receiving core. But Daniels has thrown at least 2 touchdowns in 5 of 6 primetime games since the start of last year. The Bears have allowed the second most passing touchdowns in the league this year at 2.5 passing touchdowns a game. It's a high total. There should be points. 3 of the 4 quarterbacks to face Chicago this year had at least 2 touchdowns. Geno Smith, Jared Goff, and J.J. McCarthy all had at least 2 passing touchdowns. Only Dak Prescott had 1. I also mentioned this about Bill Krosky Merritt, over 68.5 rushing yards. There's not much sample size, so we're getting a decent number. He's coming off a 111-yard rushing game against the Chargers. He also ran for 82 against the Giants, which, by the way, was the only other bad run D that he faced this year. The only other team that's bottom 10 against the run was the Giants that Bill faced, and he went over this with 82. This is the best matchup a running back could get. The Bears have allowed the most rushing yards per game to running backs this year at just under 141 rushing yards a game. 6 of the 7 running backs to face Chicago have gone over their rushing yards prop. It's a good deal. take the over 68.5 rushing yards, because if he goes over it with flying colors, we're not seeing this number again on Bill. Lastly, Zach Ertz over 3.5 receptions. I saw this at plus 105 this morning. I like that it's plus money. He's gone over in 4 of 5 primetime games for Washington since last year, averaging just under 5 receptions a game. With the receiving core really banged up in Washington, Terry McLaurin's out, Noah Brown's out, Deebo Samuel's dealing with a heel injury. Zach Ertz is your go-to guy in primetime. We're going over 3.5 receptions on Zach Ertz tonight. Those are my favorite plays for tonight in Monday Night Football and the NLCS. I can tell you that on my Pickett app, I officially on Pickett have Blake Snell over earned runs, Bijan Robinson under 32.5 receiving yards, Josh Allen under 230.5 passing yards, and over the rushing yards for Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. I haven't bet the others yet, but I kind of really do like Zach Ertz over receptions, so I might add that to the list. And Michael Penix is in the SGP. I put the SGP in the chat before, so you could scroll up. Here's the SGP. That every week, Jared Block and I from Trinity Analytics put together an SGP, and we did the plus 582 for Bill to go over rushing yards, Allen to go over rushing yards, Penix under pass completions, and Washington team total over 23.5. But you can replace, if you want to add it to get to 10-1, you could take probably the Washington team total out, which is very juiced, and you can add that an anytime touchdown prop into that as well. This is probably the longest show I've done. So, hey guys. No receptions, silly. 3.5 receiving yards. That would be like some kind of special that you would get for $10 bet max bet. Like, come on. No, that's not the case. I hope you guys got some winners. I hope you guys are profitable tonight. We did hit the Logan Gilbert over 1.5 earned runs in the second inning. So that was a nice W to have early on into the Toronto-Seattle game. It's a fun one. We've got the NLCS coming up soon and Monday Night Football, 2 games on the slate. Huge day in sports. I am starving. I need to go make some dinner. Good luck to your bets. See you guys tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern time here on the Prep Queen Pod.